Mobile, Cecilia, Vine Grove, Fort Knox, Elizabethtown. Hardin County, Kentucky is the third largest county in Kentucky. All the schools there, John Hardin, North Hardin, Central Hardin, have great wrestling programs, but they're not as nice as the landscape that our guest here today has where he currently is. Sir, if you would, tell us who you are and tell us where you're at.
How y'all doing? Some of y'all may know me, those who don't. I'm Sergeant First Class Mark Jones, graduate of North Hardin class of 2008, wrestling state champion.
And you are
I'm currently stationed in Schofield, Hawaii.
That's what I was going to say, man. You're living the life on the beach there, man. Hardin County is a beautiful county, but it fails in comparison to Hawaii, right?
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. There's no place like home, but when you get a little slice of paradise and the beach is right around the corner, you can't beat that at any time of the week.
I completely understand that, man. So, like you said, you're a state champion, 2008, 189 pounds. We want to say thank you to our good buddy of the channel, good friend of the channel, Harrison Courtney, a four-timer from Woodford County. He found this video, and I've been trying to get up with some 2008. So far, 2008, we've done Jarvis Elam from Union County, 103 pounds. We've done Harrison Courtney, of course, Woodford, Anthony Bailey from Fort Knox, and now I believe you're our fourth 108 or fourth state champion from 2008. So, man, I'm glad to have that. Glad to have you on. I put out on my Facebook, this is the 27th of June, 2024, I put out on my Facebook, hey, I'm looking for these North Hardin state champions, and within about 2 minutes, people were tagging you. You sent me a message, we linked up, and here we are doing the video. So, man, what we have said for years on this channel, this is our second year doing it, Hardin County, like we said, North Hardin, 2-team state championships, 1968, or I'm sorry, four team state championships, 1968, 1969, 1978, 1981. Great wrestling tradition in Hardin County as a whole. So how do you find it? What gets you into wrestling?
Man, believe it or not, it's a funny story. So my brother, he wrestled. I was in 6th grade, and he came home trying wrestling moves on me as the older brother, and I didn't know what was going on. So I was like, what is this? I was like, this isn't the wrestling we see on TV. So where are you learning this? And then he told me about it. So I showed up to a practice, 6th grade. I think I was probably about 130, 125 pounds, getting out there, just getting killed. I don't think we really had too much of a middle school program. So the middle school wrestlers we had were pretty much wrestling with the JV and varsity. So after that, like, it was rough for me. And then I stuck with it. I was like, I kind of like it. So let's see what happens next year. I had to fill in a couple like JV matches as a 6th grader. Got killed. Had to fill in one time for a varsity match. Didn't last no more than probably about 45 seconds. And, you know, people kept coming, like, man, what grade are you in? And I tell them, and there's like, what? And there's like, man, you're going to be pretty good if you stick with this. You know, me being that young, I ain't think much about it. I was like, yeah, okay. Y'all just saying it just to say it to, you know, boost my spirits and morale. But I kept with it, did a couple camps over the summer. And I came back the next year, and I was actually probably about 20 pounds heavier, put on some muscle. And then, like, I was actually able to keep up with some of the guys. So I was like, all right, well, here we are. Besides football, this is it.
No, man, I get it. And so many guys that and girls now, we have girls wrestling in Kentucky. So many people that we've done review videos with. Your video number 317 for the channel so far is so many people have said, you know, big brother got me into it, dad, uncle, cousin, neighbors. got tired of getting beat up by my older brother that
Mhm.
wrestled. I come out and started wrestling. So nowadays in Kentucky, man, we're having to have our middle school and youth state tournaments in arenas. We've had the past 6 years, we've had to have our middle school on a separate day, youth on a separate day in the big arenas around the state, like in Pikeville and Corbin, Louisville. So the sport is growing, not so
Mhm.
much. You're a few years younger than me. I graduated in 2003. And like you said, the middle school wrestling, the youth wrestling was not what it was today. Um, the reason I can say that for
Mhm.
certainty is 2008, the year that you won it. Of course, everybody knows I officiate. I went to, everybody knows this too. I went to Johnson Central and we
Mhm.
hosted on the same day in the same gym, we hosted the middle school and the youth state tournaments over at our high school gym. And now we're having to use arenas on two separate days. So the sport's growing. Kids, I know that may be hard for you to grasp nowadays with the amount of teams, the amount of camps, the amount of club teams that are going on. So just understand that the sport is growing and it's still growing
Mhm.
every day. There's new teams popping up. And like Mark said, some of the best success stories come from just going and getting kind of beat up for a couple years and saying, I'm tired of this. I'm either, what's the old saying, sink or swim?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
let's talk about,
Oh
though,
yeah.
your state tournament runs. 2004 as an eighth grader, 160 pounds. You make it to the state tournament. You go 2-2, but you're an eighth grader. It's a learning experience, right? You got to get there and get some experience. The lights, the pomp and circumstance, the pageantry. You know what I mean? It's all the
Mhm.
spectacle.
Yep.
Uh,
No,
two,
but honestly, my first state tournament was my seventh grade year. Uh, I went as 145 as a alternate, and somebody ended up getting hurt, and I ended up being able to wrestle.
no
Went
kidding.
0-2, as you can imagine.
No, hey, man, you were in the state tournament all
0-2.
6 years of your eligibility. That's pretty good. Um, 2005,
Mhm.
171 pounds as a freshman. You come in fifth place. So that experience of already being there for 2 years is paying off, man. You're on the podium as a freshman. That and 171 pounds, man. They some brutes in that weight class. You know what I mean? They some studs.
Oh yeah,
2000.
we
Go
had
ahead.
some
I'm
tough
sorry.
competition that year.
Yeah. 2006.
No, I said we
106.
had some tough competition.
Yeah. 2006. 171 pounds again. Sophomore. Now let's talk about this real quick because this is going to come into play a little bit later, fans. In the second round, you win a 11-5 decision. Remember this name over Ryan Houshins from South Oldham. Okay. You get to the quarters. You pin Ryan Kelly, 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Ryan comes in seventh place. You make it to the state finals, and you're wrestling Will Starks from Woodford County. But Will's a pretty good wrestler. He wins an 11-4 decision on you. But as a sophomore,
He
man,
is.
you're coming in second place. That's pretty daggone good.
Oh yeah, it was. And the crazy part is, if we rewind back to my middle school days, I ended up wrestling Will and Ryan in the middle school tournament. I
Did you
won that
really?
year state championship, but Will ultimately got me. He got me in the later runs.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how that all comes back full circle.
Yep.
Placing my sophomore year, it was something I didn't really think, like going to the state finals. I was told that around my sophomore year is probably when I would take off, and it came in fruition. But I think that year it was all brand new. Like I've been to the state tournaments, and you see when they put the spotlight on the mat, and it's all eyes on you. Kind of felt like looking back now, I was taking in the moment, but it might have been a little bit too bright for me right then and there. But things happen.
Hey, you're right, man, and we'll talk more about that just in a second. 2007, 189 pounds as a junior. You're back in the semifinals. You're wrestling Ryan Kelly again. This is your second year in a row wrestling Ryan Kelly. You win that by default. Ryan has to default out to sixth place. You get to the finals. You're wrestling Will Starks again. You close the gap, but he gets you. Will wins in a 5-3 decision. So back-to-back years, man, you're being in the finals. You come up short a little in both years, but nevertheless, you're there. That's got to be great experience, right?
Oh yeah, I learned a lot from wrestling Will the previous year, and then try to change my strategy up going into my junior year because we didn't wrestle my junior year. My sophomore year, I had wrestled him twice, so we kind of knew each other a little bit. Just got the best of him. My junior year, we didn't wrestle, and I believe that match went into overtime, if I'm not mistaken. And one false move, and when you wrestle wrestlers like that, any small mistake you make, it'll come and bite you in the end. And then I did a sloppy single leg, and then he sidestepped me, and wasn't nothing I can do. Will's a pretty tall guy, so the length of him, like just wrapping your legs and your ankle, it's hard to get out of.
Yeah, man. But 2008 though is your year. 189 pounds. You're a senior. You start off the state tournament in 2008 with a fall over Zach Brewer of Connor, 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And in case you don't know this, Zach is now the head coach at Connor. He took over for legendary coach Wayne Bedita. Zach's been the coach there for probably the last 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit longer. But nevertheless, you win a fall over him. Okay. The second round, you're wrestling D. Allen from Hopkinsville. You win that by fall, 4 minutes, 43 seconds. Get to the quarters, you run back into your old buddy Ryan Kelly from Sheldon Clark. You win that by a 17-8 decision, major decision, I should say. And Ryan goes on to get third place. But it also needs to be said, Ryan goes on in 2009 and he wins 215-pound state championship. So, man, 3 years in a row, you had to wrestle Ryan Kelly. You guys were like, two comic book characters going at it. You know what I mean? All time right there at each other.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that match clear as day. I think that year, certain rankings had Ryan 1, had me 2. But I just knew, I was like, this year's mine, and there's no way anybody can be ranked ahead of me. So I kind of had a little chip on my shoulder when we went into that match, being though the match previously he was beating me, and then he ended up, I think he dislocated his elbow. So that threw everybody. If that didn't happen, I was going to lose. So I felt like I had a point to prove during that match. So I think that was the most focused I was that whole state tournament, was probably that match right there.
Yeah, Ryan's a friend of mine. You guys, like I said, are just a few years younger than me, but I started officiating right out of high school, wrestling that is, and I got to officiate Ryan pretty much his entire high school run, middle school run, even I believe as into maybe his last year of elementary school. So, knowing Ryan a long time, his family, and we're still trying to find Ryan's 2009 video. So whenever we get it, I'll make sure when we do his review video, I'll send it to you. That way he can say, Mark, man, you're the 3 losses I had against you prepped me for when I won, right? But you get to the semifinals, you're wrestling Will Hogbin from Rowell. You win that by a 10-4 decision. Will goes on to get 4th place. You get to the finals, and you're wrestling Ryan Houshins again from South Oldham. So we got the battle of North and South going on here. Now, we're not going to tell you the score fans, we have the match video. Again, thanks to Harrison, Courtney, and his dad Brent for finding it and sending it to us. So this is your third time, man, in the finals, under the lights, the whole shebang. The arena's crazy. You know how it goes. For people that never got to go to the dungeon, it was crazy. The best atmosphere the KHSAA ever produced was at the dungeon for the state wrestling tournament. This is your last. This is it. You'll never, ever, ever wear a North Hardin Trojan singlet again. You're backstage. You're getting ready to run out for the face-off. What's going through your head?
Oh man, the whole time, believe it or not, I was sitting there. I talked to a couple guys in the back, and they was like, "Mark, why aren't you nervous?" And I'm like, "Man," I said, "Y'all know I've been here twice, came up short." I was like, "Right now there ain't no nerves." I was like, "I'm just ready to get out here and get the match on." So I was pretty much just trying to stay warm because you never know how some of these matches go. Some of them can be quick, some of them can go overtime, double overtime. So you're trying to stay loose, keep your mind fresh, watch some wrestling, but always sit there and think about what you're going to do and how you're going to work your match. And then, once they call you out, you still get that nervous feeling. Don't get me wrong. Still had that little butterflies going out there. And then that year, I took it in a little bit more because I knew this would be my last year doing that. Coming out my North Hardin singlet and knowing that I've lost 2 finals, I'm like, I'm not trying to lose a third one.
Yeah,
I don't want to go down second
man.
place 3 years in a row.
So, has it been a while since you've seen your state finals video? Have you ever watched it?
I'll be honest, I have not watched it. I've seen pictures. I got pictures here and there. When we're moving, I'll pull out my boxes of stuff and pack up, and then I'll sit there and show my sons, like, "Oh, this used to be your dad back in the day." And they're like, "That looks nothing like you." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like that's a couple years ago."
Yeah. One of my favorite lines of the series. This will be the first time I
watched it, though.
One of my favorite lines from the whole series is, I think it was our third or fourth video that we done with George King. Of course, George has become a staple on the channel, good friend of the channel, from Union County, 2000 most outstanding wrestler, quickest pin, most pins in the least amount of time. And George's son, as of this filming, he's being recruited by numerous Division I football schools to play football. And in his video, George says, "Maybe not now, but at one time, Dad could do it." And I think so many guys have latched onto that because their kids now were getting into wrestling. This is the first time they got to see their dad wrestle, or whoever it may be to them. Mm-hmm. And pretty much the same sentiment. Yeah, maybe not now, but at one time, Dad could do it. And I love being able to let you guys have your video and have it for your families. So you guys are seeing what we're seeing. We're at the Dungeon in Frankfort, the Farnham Dungeon Center, 2008, on a very cold February evening. This is the 171-pound. What you're looking at is the 171-pound finalist. So, Mark, man, let's get in the time machine. 2008, here we come.
All right.
Here you come out, man.
Man, look at that kid. Ready to go. Oh, yeah. Trying to shake all the butterflies out and get back in the back and get ready.
Of course, you got the white singlet on there, man. I love those white singlets.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember when we begged Coach to get those things.
Your official right there, your head official, is one good friend of mine, Rocky Durham. He still officiates with us to this day. Him and his 2 sons. Blake and Austin.
Okay. We're in the
So
family.
from neutral, man,
Looks
what's your
like Carol.
go-to takedowns here? What are we looking to do?
Right there, what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to move you around to see if I can get snap your head down and then how fast you're popping up and shoot my double leg. Uh, that's usually a go-to, or I'll tie up and try to get a slide by in. Just depends. But as right there, I did snap the head and shoot a double. Ended up getting it, shot it pretty fast.
Now that's the second time that you've lifted him. You can tell, man, you're pretty built right here. Had you wrestled him before? Did you know you could kind of muscle him around, or talk to us there about that?
My Believe it or not, senior night we had two teams to wrestle that night. One of them happened to be South Oldham, and Ryan was one of the we wrestled that night. That match that night, I think it was probably 10-3. I won. It wasn't an easy 10-3 victory, but I sat there, and then when I knew in the finals, I kind of knew what I did wrong. And I figured when I lifted, I was trying to, throw in a half, and then when I brung them down, that way I could possibly get me some back points right there. He didn't go for it too much.
Now you're on top here. That was the start of the second period, and it's not your computer messing up. It's copied off of a DVD. So if it skips on you, fans, that's what it is. But you started on top.
You're okay.
He's trying for that switch there. You're digging in deep. You've been on top for a pretty good while.
Mm-hmm.
Did you kind of know going in, okay, I know I can hit this on him, or I know he's susceptible to this, or was it just take it as it comes?
It was just trying to get a feel. I was trying to. I'm sure South Oldham probably recorded that night of wrestling, possibly because we could see each other further down the line. So what I didn't want to do is, kind of throw the same thing at them. I just want to try to throw something different to keep them off game. Stuff that I usually wouldn't do, but I knew I was comfortable with doing it, and it worked out in my favor.
Now, right there, man, he just took you down. Got a pretty good single leg and took you to the mat. So, are you in panic mode, or?
For a little bit, I was, but then once I got taken down, thinking, all right, I got taken down. What do we do now? Gather your composure, get back in it, and then go from there. Pretty much trying to get all I lost twice in the finals out of my head. This is a whole new year, new opponent, and go from there.
Yeah. And right there, the score going in right here, I believe it's tied 3-3. And you're on the bottom here. So we get a stoppage, we get some blood time. He's trying to lift. You go back down. Nothing. That's good defense on your part.
Oh, yeah. I pride myself in trying not to give up points if I got taken down.
Yeah. So he cut you. Now it's 4-3. You're in the lead. We're late in the third period.
I remember this vividly. He should take a shot here with another single, and then I tried to kick out, and they gave me a stalling call.
Oh, did they really?
Point. I believe so, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we're getting ready to see how good your memory is, Your Honor. Oh, there's the single leg. What happens?
Right there, I was trying to hook the back leg, and then I was going kind of toss it to the side, but I couldn't get much.
Yeah. Get away. Oh, yep. Fleeing the mat. They hit you for fleeing the mat. Rocky did.
Ah.
Yep. That's a technical violation. I have to send this to him.
Yep.
So now it's 4-4. And we go to overtime.
Oh, man. Yes, sir. And this is where I had the same memory with me and Will.
Yep. You lift. And nothing yet. As soon as you lock your hands right here for this cradle. Nope. You abandon it. Single leg. Nothing. You get behind. There's two. Come on, Rocky. That's two. Come on, Rocky. Good call, Rocky. And you win by a final score in overtime, 6-4, man. And that's where the video ends. So it seems like you remember it pretty well, but does it play back the way you remember it outside of you winning?
Some of it, believe it or not, most people don't know. When I shot and I got the two, I thought they called stalemate. So I didn't know what was going on. I was sitting there. I was like, oh, it's a stalemate. I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to get good position like that again. So I was like, all right, here we go. So I'm getting up, trying to stand to the line. And he was like, ankle bands. And I'm like, huh? And then like they grabbed me and raised my hand. And I was like, oh, man, that's crazy. And like it didn't sink in until like a couple seconds afterwards. And I was like, I just won. I was like, I just won a state championship. And then, you know, right afterwards, I went over there like every wrestler do, goes and hugs their coaches, celebrate a little bit, go shake the other coach's hand, and then go back into the crowd and just sit there and celebrate some more, man. It was a great feeling. I felt like I finally got, you know, that big burden off my back of, you know, losing twice in the finals and am I going to get it this year? Going to overtime again, I was like, dang, I just went to overtime the year before. Here we go again. But this time, I was more prepared. That match with Will prepared me more because I'm like, you can't do anything sloppy. You can't be tired. You got to suck it up. Yep. You know, this is your last year. Suck it up for another minute. Get it done and get out here. Go stand on, you know, instead of standing out there and getting that silver, go stand and get the gold.
That's right, man. That's right. And of course, like we said earlier, North Hardin, 4 team state championships, 1968, 1969, 1978, 1981. 2 most outstanding wrestlers, which is the same gentleman, Ed Brandon, 1968, 1969. And as of this filming, North Hardin has 36 individual state champions. That is, as it stands now, it's overall 5th place in the state. Man, you're one of those 36. So from, you know, the first state wrestling, North Hardin is the only school in the history of the state tournament to have a wrestler represented every single year at the state tournament, whether they place or not. North Hardin's had a wrestler represented. And man, you're one of those select state champions. One of the 36, man, it's got to be great. Not necessarily that, and that's what I say about this series is if you ask somebody, you know, whether it's you know, man or woman, whatever year they wrestle, how many, if they're 4-time, 1-time, it doesn't matter. Is if you ask them what's more important in life, being known as a state champion or being known as a good dad, a good husband, a good mother, a good member of the community, a good productive member of society, most people are going to say, if they're serious, I'd much rather be known as a good dad as a state champion, or I'd much rather be known as a good husband or a good mom or a good whatever the case is than a state champion. Because let's face it, we don't go around all the time wearing our rings, our medals, our Letterman jackets, bragging to everybody, 25 years after the fact, hey, I'm a state champion. But if somebody asks you, hey, man, what made you who you are today? Most people are going to say, not necessarily winning a state championship, but those practices, having to cut weight, having to go in the mat room when it's maybe school was canceled for snow, or staying late, doing like an extra practice for getting yourself better, the off-season work, being able to say you're a state champion. You can pull out the best of what you're capable of. And I love that so many people now are finding out what it takes to be a good wrestler. You got to have strength. You got to have speed. You got to have technique. You got to have the wits of a chess player. So many factors go into it. And with this series and the way the sport's growing, so many people have been able to give their side of the story. And like you said, man, did you say you're a sergeant first class? What branch of the military is that?
United States Army.
Army? Okay. Just off the top of my head, we've had a retired lieutenant colonel who was a world champion on the channel, Dominic Black. We've had David Ritchie, 3-time from Caldwell County. He was voted, he won the All-Army.
Oh, yeah, I know Coach Ritchie.
Yeah, okay. We had Dave Ritchie on the channel. His 85 and 86 videos are on here. He won, I can't remember the exact name, but it was like the military games. He won the Greco and freestyle. He got invited to the Olympic team trials. Grady Peterson, same thing. He medaled for his platoon. We've had so many guys that have been in the military. Dean Williams from Seneca. He's about ready to retire out of the Marines. So many guys have been in the military, and not all. I mean, I never was in any type of military, but you hear the guys that talk, whatever, and they'll say sometimes wrestling practice was harder than what they went through in boot camp or what they went through when they got to their unit or whatever. And it's just like, it prepares you so much for life.
Oh, it does. There are days where we're out here doing 12 and 15-mile ruck marches, and your feet hurt. Your body just wants to shut down. You feel like you're about to overheat. And I just think about the days where, you had to cut weight. I'm sitting there with a hoodie, sauna suit, sitting in the sauna, just trying to cut them little pounds. And then I'll just think about, hey, if I made it through that as that young of a man, I said, I know I can make it through anything out here. And you're right. It definitely prepares you for boot camp because all the physicalness of it, you've been through worse.
And which nowadays, even back when we wrestled, it was a whole different ball game. But nowadays, weight testing, weight management is so, and it should be. It should have been regulated years ago. We just didn't have the technology. But having to cut whatever poundage it was, 5 pounds, 6 pounds. Some people even cut more than that. But you get to a meet, and by the time, if you're in the finals or placement rounds, you've wrestled 4 or 5 matches, maybe more, depending on how your bracket fell. And you're thinking, okay, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I haven't slept. My body is physically beat up, especially when you get into January, whatever, state tournament. Some people even take the last 2 weeks of the season off because they've had such a tough schedule. I just need to rest my body. I'm just physically beat up. I don't want to go into postseason beat up. But you're thinking, I'm doing this tired. I'm doing it hungry. I'm doing it dehydrated. I'm doing it on an empty stomach. I'm doing it on, very little rest. And you look at, life, like you said, I mean, of course, combat's a different situation. I'm not trying to make light of anybody that's been in a combat situation, but just life in general and even stressful situations. It's, man, this is nothing like what wrestling practice was. Are you serious? This is easy. What are we even doing here? Give me something hard. Come on, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it's I've always took that mentality when I do things. Like I say, wrestling's probably, if I could go back and be in that shape again, I would love to. That's probably the best shape of any sport that you will ever be in, whether it's football, soccer, baseball, that wrestling shape, not only do you got, the cardio, you got the muscular endurance and just being wore out, and you still have to go out there and compete in this gladiator sport, and you have nobody to sit there and look forward to come back you up. It's just you versus him, and whoever has the more intestinal fortitude and willpower to keep going, that's the one that's going to come out victorious. And I think wrestling's just a different mindset. And I look at it now, and I just thank God, like I did a sport where it took all that out of me, and then it prepared me for life and let me know, everything ain't going to be as easy as I thought it would be.
Yep.
You're going to take punches, you're going to get knocked down, you're going to be tired. There's days you don't want to go to work and your body's aching, and you just got to get up and go. And all that replays in my head, and that's what keeps me driving forward.
And of course, you guys may have seen me looking at my phone. I was looking up to who got me in contact with you. Is our good buddy of the channel, Jake Ship. He tagged, I guess it was you in the post, and that's how we got linked up. So thank you, Jake. Really, really appreciate it. So Mark, man, we've covered a lot of ground here. Before we wrap this one up, I like to give everybody the opportunity to say their thank yous, takeaways. Anybody that like to shout out, anything like that, anything you'd like to add. So, man, the floor is yours.
Man, no, thank you, Alex, for having me on. And definitely showing me, my old finals tape, because I haven't, like I told you, I ain't seen it. I ain't thought about it. I've been back to some wrestling practices back in the day, but I just haven't seen it. It's something that I can show my kids now, so I greatly appreciate it. I'd like to thank all my coaches that I've had over the time. Greg Skeeters, Sheila Newman, Mario Riley, Keith Smith, Coach Ritchie, Coach Iowa, if he happens to look at this, all the ones that came in and helped me, make me the better wrestler. The Johnson family, the Baker family, for them, taking me in and helping me, teaching me stuff. Joey Baker showed me a bunch of stuff because, he's a bigger guy. So between him and Coach Smith, when everybody keeps saying my lateral drops and all this, that came from them guys. They did it to me, and I'm like, I kind of like it. Let me add this into it. And, thank all the team moms for everything they did. We appreciate y'all. I appreciate everything you did. Appreciate my parents, my brother for getting me into it. And everybody just had a part of me becoming a state champion. The ones that were there to pick me up when I was down, the ones that kept me humbled and grounded and let me know, if you want it, you got to get it. It ain't going to be given to you. No one's going to lay down and just give you the match. You got to sit there and put your all into it. All the camps, the college camps we went to, thank all the coaches and the college wrestlers, that took me under their wings while I was there and, wrestled around with them. I appreciate everything that anybody has given me, input, advice, whatever. I took what I could and I used what I thought that was going to work for me. And, Coach Ritchie and Coach Riley were really big my senior year with helping me. I think me and Coach Ritchie actually went and scouted Ryan's matches while I was wrestling. And then that kind of came into my game plan for that. So yeah. I appreciate him. I had a great support system, man. Even Coach Canner, those days of LaRue County just beating on us and pounding on us. And eventually I'm like, I can't take this no more. We don't like it. Let's come back and be better.
Yeah.
But that's about it, man. I appreciate everybody, and I appreciate you for having me again.
Hey, man, glad to have you. I love doing this series. I love just getting wrestling out there for too long. Wrestling's been hid in gyms. It's been hid on Saturdays or weeknights or whatever. And like you said, if it just wasn't family or like a support staff or whatever coming to the meets, you just didn't get to watch wrestling. the state tournament when it was in Frankfurt, even now at the horse park, you know, I don't know, maybe 2,000 people. But with this, now it's generational. It's not just you had to be in the building, and it's not just filming it on your phone so you can have it for later. Now we get to hear your story. Now we get to know not just the name at the end of a bracket, or, you know, I don't know if North Hardin has a trophy case with your all's photos in it. I don't know. That's one of the schools I've not been to officiating is North Hardin. Maybe one day I'll get down there. But it's more than just a name. We get the story now. We get the match. Like you said, your kids can have it. The guys in your, or the people in your company or your division there in the Army can watch it, and the people at North Hardin can watch it. And it's everybody that you wrestled or was a teammate of or whatever the case is, man, they got it forever. So I love it. I love the exposure that we're getting, not for me, but for the sport as a whole, the state of Kentucky as a whole, because we've got some great wrestling in Kentucky. It just hasn't been on display. And this has become my life's work, this review series. And my goal is, and we've achieved it, but we got to maintain it, is to put Kentucky at the top, like Randy Savage, Macho Man Randy Savage said, the cream of the crop. Oh yeah, we're the cream of the top. So that's what I want to do, is make Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
I want to make Kentucky the pinnacle of high school wrestling in the nation. Whenever somebody goes and they pull up YouTube, I want everything they see about high school wrestling to be Kentucky. I don't want it to be any other state. It's going to be Kentucky. I want everybody in this country saying, why aren't we doing what Kentucky's doing? Why aren't we doing this? Kentucky's in the lead. And I love the fact that I've become the personality, the face, the voice. This channel represents so many people like yourself, the school, through the generational and geographical. It's not just Eastern Kentucky, Northern Kentucky, Western, Louisville, Lexington, Cincinnati, Covington area. It's all 120 counties from 1964 to 2024 and beyond. Man, we're generational and we're geographical. And I want the world to know, man, Kentucky wrestling is on, even in Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? Even in the paradise of Hawaii, man, we can still make our mark. No pun intended. So, Mark, man, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's going to be a great addition to the channel. It was great that we were able to hook up. So, guys, thank you all for watching. We will see you guys and girls on the mats.